What's going on, guys? In this video we're going to talk about what I learned on my first 2,000 plus mile road trip, so stick around, we're going to talk about it. Alright guys, welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, I invite you to check some of the other content out. If it looks like something you'd be interested in, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free. But if you follow the channel, you know that recently we took a ride out to the Texas Hill Country, to Twisted in Texas 2, to ride the Three Twisted Sisters out there. And that was my longest road trip to date. Total mileage on that trip was 2,188 miles. Up until that point, most of my road trips been about 1,000, 1,100. So I did ride an extra 1,000 plus miles on this trip. And in doing that, I learned a couple of things. I'm going to share them with you today. One of the things I learned was that you don't need as much as you think you'll need. And in that, I slightly overpacked, slightly. I ended up having a pair of jeans and a couple of shirts that I never even took out of the bag, and I thought it might get a little bit warmer out there, so I ended up taking my Indy Ridge Comanche ventilated boots and never took them out of the bag. So a couple of shirts, pair of jeans, extra pair of boots, which was totally useless to pack. So try to pack a little bit lighter. Don't take everything that you think you're going to need, because you're probably going to need less. The second thing I learned on this road trip was that this cooler was absolutely great. Now I know that this wouldn't work if you're riding two up, you have a passenger, this wouldn't work, but if you're riding solo, I would advise getting a cooler of some type, and you guys may do this already. I'm just telling you what I've learned on this trip. I didn't do this on past trips, but I took this cooler, put it right to fit perfectly in the passenger spot between my backrest, and didn't affect where I have my backrest sitting. But I just took a bungee cord, strapped it on, and this particular cooler that I bought, it has a Velcro top, so you can just pop it open like that. It's got a little tray in here so you can keep food, whatnot, separate from drinks and ice. But it is a hard shell interior, so it's rigid. You can put it on here, put a bungee cord around it, whatever. It's not going to mash up on you. And I was able to put some waters, Gatorade stuff in there, keep some snacks up here on the top, and you just stick that down in there like that, and it was super easy to get into. You didn't have to take the bungee cord off and all that stuff. You didn't have to worry about zipping, unzipping it, zipping it back up when you wanted to access it. But that was a great benefit right there, was having that cooler on board, so that if we just pulled off on the side of the road, I could pop it open, get a water out, get some Gatorade, whatever. You didn't have to constantly run in the store and get something, all that good stuff. So highly recommend taking a cooler if it's to where you can pack one on the bike and take it with you. Hopefully the wind's not too bad and you guys can hear me. Another thing that I learned was, and a lot of you guys know this, if you take a trip, do not go, especially a longer trip like this, do not go without a portable air pump and a battery booster, battery jump box, whatever you want to call it. I have a portable air pump here that I always take in the tour pack, and I have the Noco Boost Plus that I take in case I need it. And on this trip I used both of them. My buddy Bishop that rode out there with me, he used the air pump. We made a stop over in Arkansas on the way out, and I used the Noco Boost battery booster The morning that we left Kerrville, we had about, I don't know, 12, 14 bikes that were leaving out. Everybody was lined up. I'd already gotten gas that morning, and everybody jumped on their bikes. They were going to leave the hotel, go right across the street, gas up, and then everybody was leaving. So everybody gets on their bikes, cranks up. I get on mine, and it was pretty cool that morning. And I do plan on getting a battery this winter before next riding season, or in the spring, whatever. But I jumped on mine and walk, wouldn't crank. So I had to pull this baby out. Thank goodness I had it. So I pulled it out, jumped the bike off. I was good to go. Never had any more issues. When I cut the bike off, cut it back on, I never had to use it again after that. But if I can put a link to it, I may try to put a link here up at the top somewhere to my buddy ATC Jeremy Rides. Had a great video on jumping your bike off. That saved the day for me. If I had not seen that, I would have probably been trying to get down to the battery to hook the battery booster up. And this little quick tip on jumping your bike off, I was able to get the bike jumped off, get across the street, meet up with everybody else, and didn't delay the group from heading out and heading back home. So always take a portable air pump of some kind and a jump box of some kind. If you need them, they're priceless. Here guys, another thing I learned is always take something to put under your kickstand. We had a lot of rain. My bike sunk down in the mud outside. It was dry as a bone, of course, when I parked. A lot of rain that night. Came out the next morning. Kickstand was sunk in the mud probably that far. It's a wonder the bike didn't turn over. But I have this thing I bought from Harley Davidson a long time ago to put under the kickstand. I also have one of these free ones I got from Law Tigers that I've never used yet, but always take something with you to throw underneath the kickstand in case you need it. And I have received comments, one from Deba, that he had used a rock, piece of wood that he could find, even crushing a soda can to put underneath the kickstand, which was a great idea. But have something on hand that in case you need it, you can throw underneath the kickstand to keep the bike from mashing down in the ground and leaning further than it should be leaning. All right guys, another thing, this might be the last thing I mention, another thing that I learned is that on future trips I will be avoiding metro areas. Now on this particular trip we did have to go through Dallas to get where we were going. Dallas was a lot of traffic, but it was moving, so it wasn't too bad. It took us a while to get through Dallas, but we ended up routing down for some certain reasons. We ended up routing down going through Austin and San Antonio. We hit some traffic jams around Austin, and the worst of it was around San Antonio at night. And I'm talking about standstill, feet on the ground, traffic stopped as far as you can see, and you'd inch up a little bit, see it, inch up a little bit and see it. So in the future, even if it means adding time and miles to the ride, major metro areas I will be trying to exit. If I'm on the interstate, I'll be trying to get off the interstate and take some other roads, detour around the metro areas, and then pick back up on whatever road I need to. A lot of times, even on interstate, you might hit wrecks or something like that, and there's just no way around it unless you get early enough warning to avoid that. But in the future, I will be avoiding metro areas. So guys, I think that's about it for what I want to share today. And like I said, this was my first 2,000 mile trip plus, and that's just some things that I learned hitting this little trip I want to share with you guys. So If you all got any more tips for people taking longer trips, leave them in the comments. And appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, if you hadn't hit that subscribe button yet, consider doing so. It's free, helps the channel out. So until next time, appreciate you guys watching. Be safe out there, and we'll catch you in the next one.